Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 1st San Gabriel City Council meeting. I now call this regular meeting to order at 6:31. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Ding.
Okay. Please stand and face to the flag. Place your right hand over your heart and then repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, invisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, next, clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Menchaca,
Here.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Here.
Councilmember Ding,
Here.
Councilmember Harrington,
Here.
Councilmember Pu.
Here.
Okay, we will start with some announcements from our Chief City Clerk.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. Please email all public comments to cityclerk@sgch.org no later than the time the item is considered by the council tonight. Comments will be read for up to 3 minutes each. Comments received after the end of the public comment section will be forwarded to the City Council after the meeting. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive City Council agendas, please email your request to cityclerk@sgch.org.
Okay. The approval of the agenda. Our Chief City Clerk has another announcement.
Madam Mayor, staff requests that item 4B, material demands, be pulled from tonight's agenda to be considered at the next regular meeting instead. This is due to a technical error in which the online version of the agenda materials for this item displayed the August 18th staff report and attachments instead of the September 1st staff report and attachments. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda order as amended to remove item 4B?
I'll motion to move.
Okay. Vice Mayor Lau, and I'll second. Assistant City Clerk Bonus, please take the vote.
Sure. Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Next item, please.
Presentations, COVID-19 briefing. Presentations will be made by Fire Chief Wallace, Police Chief Harris, and Assistant City Manager and Community Development Director Shaperia.
Okay, Chief Wallace.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor Liao, and members of the council and the executive team. I have an update for you that's current as of lunchtime today. In the city of San Gabriel, we now have a cumulative confirmed case count of 580 cases. And that, for statistics, is 0.09% of the total cases in Los Angeles County. We have a count of 48 deaths, and you'll notice that both our case load and the confirmed deaths have remained relatively stable over the last couple of weeks. And we are experiencing our highest rate of infection in the 30 to 49-year-old population. So overall in Los Angeles County, the average 7-day death rate has dropped by 34%. The 3-day hospitalization rate is down by 21%. And under 20% of the ICU beds that are available in the county are occupied now by COVID patients. So that's a considerable drop in number of beds with COVID patients and in hospitalizations. Within our city, the skilled nursing facilities had a bit of a bump last week, and we thought maybe they were going to turn into some hot spots. But it appears that the 2 facilities that became affected have done a really good job at managing their infections. And over the last week, there's only been 3 new infections in staff and 3 new infections in patients. The average daily census of patients in each of the facilities is 50. So that's nearing the normal number of patients in the facilities. The fire department is 100% healthy. All of our apparatus are staffed. Our PPE supplies are still stable, and we are supplying ourselves via our normal supply chains. Our response numbers are moving back towards normal. They keep going up every week, and we're seeing a lot more of the regular sick people and traffic collisions and the calls that we were seeing before COVID come back into our daily call volume. And we are not really seeing any donations now with PPE. And with that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Police Chief Harris?
Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, good evening. This is Gene Harris, the police chief for the city of San Gabriel. And our COVID briefing should be relatively short in that we've had no significant changes with regard to crime or other significant impacts related to COVID. We are operating at 100% staffing and our full service with regard to our response to calls. We are at a stable condition with regard to our PPE and other types of equipment. And we are also experiencing a shortage of donations. We are kind of relying on what our stores are, and we're so far up to date doing pretty good. We have had no significant criminal incidents with regard to COVID. However, we've experienced a slight uptick in complaints with regard to congregations in parks and areas that have been determined not to allow that type of conduct based on the county health orders. Places like basketball courts, volleyball courts, racquetball courts, etc. To date, we've been able to experience, or been glad to experience voluntary compliance for the most part citywide. In past meetings, we've thanked members of the community for that. We've had a slight uptick though. I think there's a little bit of cabin fever, so we're getting people coming out and congregating a little bit in those areas. We understand the angst. We still have health orders that we need to follow. And so we have adopted the posture that we still want to implore folks for voluntary compliance, but we are prepared to enforce, actively enforce if it comes to that. But our plea to the members of the public is to continue doing what we've been doing and voluntary complying with the rules so that we can do our part to keep and slow the spread of COVID-19. Working in conjunction with community services and with public works, we are implementing some engineering solutions, signage, and other elements to try to keep those things from happening. And even though the parks are open and we invite folks to come out and enjoy those areas where we can kind of enjoy those facilities, we still have to be careful about violating those rules and making sure that the groupings are appropriate. So we will continue to warn. We have implemented a warning system that we will apply to folks as we observe or get called into circumstances. We will give a warning, but following those warnings, if we have egregious violators who are not adhering to the warnings, we'll be forced to kind of enforce all of the health orders and health and safety codes. So we would like to avoid that by just simply having people do the right thing and abide by the law. And I'll be more than happy at any time to take calls from the public at the police station so that we can discuss any issues that might arise. With that, I'll take any questions from anyone when we're done.
Okay, next presenter, Assistant City Manager, Community Development Director, Shaparayan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Actually, our report this evening, I'd like to invite members of the Council Subcommittee, Vice Mayor Liao and Councilmember Ding, to join me in giving you a quick update on some of the key efforts we've had going on in economic development. I can tell you they have been extremely busy, working hard, canvassing different parts of our city, working with our businesses, and I think it will only be best served if I allow them the opportunity to give you a quick update this evening. I'll turn it over to the Vice Mayor if he wants to kick it off, and we can also have Councilmember Ding join us. Thank you.
You have to turn on your mic. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I want to take this, situation to thank our staff from economic developments, including Armene, including Dominica, Claudia, and others. They've been working so hard, put 1,500 supply kits together. That's unbelievable. And also the list of those businesses, 1,500. And we divided into different areas for instance, I got Valley Boulevard. And I enjoyed it. I've been walking, under 103-degree hot temperature, 6 hours every day. And we deliver, my section is from New Avenue to Del Mar. So that's an easy one. So I delivered 213 supply kits to businesses. As a matter of fact, I found there are more than 24 businesses that were not registered. I don't think they're not registered. It's just we kind of didn't put them in this roster. So they've been in business for 20 years. I'm sure they all have a business license. They all register. So it is very interesting, to see that section of the area. Actually, it's not too bad. The only place that is hurting is the Focus department store. We have the Focus Square, but then we also have department store right at the center. So the first floor, it's been around for a while, 15, 17 years. It's been closed. However, there's a new one, the Japanese store is new, so it's open. The second floor is for fashions, ladies' dresses and that kind of stuff. It's pretty empty right now. And the third floor is for jewelry, jewelers and antique shops, about 50% vacant. Okay, so compared to other cities, I think we're not that bad. We have 12 out of 213. That's total vacant right now. They, just gave up and moved out. But there are 56 still not open. They're closed, but they're still in business. They're just waiting, for I guess the county to give them authorization to open up a business. So it is. I would say it is some kind of encouraging, but there is still troublesome for some business that they're even doing it right now. For instance, there's a Taiwanese deli. She's sort of, I know her for a few years, and she's trying to hang on to this business, but her rent is $16,000 a month. So if she opens, she has to hire employees, pay rent, pay utilities. So she's losing $10,000 every month. She sort of, asking my help. And I said, well, maybe you can increase the sale online, But then her reply is, because their competitors, they're doing their products from homes, so they can sell, all these food or delis, as a matter of fact, cheaper price. So I don't know, because she said she signed up the loan or whatever, with her personal guarantee. So, she is afraid if this COVID-19 continues for another year or two, because she signed up the contract with the landlord for another additional another 2 years. So she's worried, she might end up losing her house, because that's what she has that main assets. But for now, I don't have a solution for her, unfortunately. But the rest of people that I visit, they were pretty upbeat. They were very grateful for our city's gestures with a 10 points plan, but also with the chance to win that 2,500 business grants. And so far we have about 400 sign up, and we only can offer 28. So that's that. Yes, it's a lot of people say, well, it's like winning a big lottery. But I encourage them, no matter what, if you sign up, you have a chance to win. If you don't, you never have a chance. So overall, it's good to contact our local businesses, and I'm sure if this COVID-19 doesn't prolong too long, I think they all can be recovered. It's just that we don't know. We just hope for the best. So that's my report. But also, Councilmember Dean did exactly the same thing.
Well, we'll let Councilmember Ding speak
Yeah.
on his behalf. How about
Okay.
we do that? Go ahead, Councilmember Ding. Why don't you share with us your experience briefly, I hope.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, the Vice Mayor. Okay, yeah, it seems the my Vice Mayor say, okay, yeah, I really appreciate this kind the Harmony, their team working hard. Okay, to do the more than 1,500 PPE supply to our business and prepare the documentation and the document. It's really good for the they have the 4 language: English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. It's really our community, the most business the speak the language. It's really help them. Okay. And I also do the canvas to on the Valley Boulevard from the Delma until near to the Warner Grove. Okay, so I actually my work it's most try meet people, meet owner or meet some manager. They are really appreciate our city make this kind of decision. At least give to them some chance to have the lotto win 2,500. Yeah, sounds like not too much more money, but it still help them. I saw a lot of business. It's really I say close, especially for tours agency. It's all the agency it's empty because the COVID-19, right? But the good things for I saw the most restaurant. They open it, they have the takeout to help their business also, and it's a help our city. They can generate the sales tax for us, right? So yeah, so that's good. They're working hard. They are the people. They're really working hard. It's good, and it's good things. Also, I saw the we city that the community development give to some chance that some restaurant if they qualify say. Outdoor dining. Okay, I saw that some outdoor dining. It's really good for them. It looks like they have them the more customer to really do the outdoor dining, but some maybe still not good enough to help them. So it depends on what kind of business can do. But at least we give to them some opportunity to some outdoor dining. Yeah. So the 10 point and we have the send out PPE. It's actually have a good response. The owner or manager, even I meet them, say, oh, they say, oh, that's good. So that's meaning city care them, so they are really appreciate. And but some is still the language barrier, and some is maybe the high tech. They don't know how to use it. So I even I go out 27, 28. The 28 is the last date, but still continue to get a call from them that they say don't know how to apply. They don't know where they can find the application. So I just over the phone try. Actually, I practice by myself. I go to our city website. I say, hey, you have to follow this step. Yeah, actually we have four language. Help them find the application. if the last minute they still have chance to send the application to the city. They are happy, So, and I also happy to see the more than four. I see the report 400. The business apply. That's meaning we did a good job and a good response for the people applied this 2,500 grant. So I hope that we can keep going to help our business. Yes, small business is very important for us. Okay, so especially I think our city is the most the 1,800 around the business, most the small business. They really need our city or community to help them, they can survive. And also this, if they survive, they also help our city and help our community. Yeah. Okay. Finally, still, my thanks to the staff, good work. Okay, and also Vice Mayor Liao and we are subcommittee. We do everything, but I think the rest of us, council member or staff, to help too to spread out the wording. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Council Member.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dane, Councilmember Dane. Armine, did you have any closing comments before I open it up for the rest of the council to ask questions? Or...
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to remind our business community that should they need any assistance from economic development, I would highly encourage them to either email us at stbusiness@sgch.org or calling us at 626-607-7941. And we have received, as you heard from the committee, we've received over 400 applications that staff is currently reviewing and logging. And we anticipate doing the lottery in the coming weeks to select our grant recipients. But in the meantime, if any of our businesses need assistance, if there's anything we can do to help them, highly encourage them to either email or call us. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Great, thank you. So I'll just open it up to council, or if there's any questions to the presenters that we had, Chief Wallace, Chief Harris, or our economic team, including our Vice Mayor and our council member. Are there any questions? Oh, Councilmember Pu.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a question for Armine. I understand that the tenant assistance grants were a bit undersubscribed, sort of the opposite of the business assistance grants. So I was wondering if we were, and I think we were talking about or thinking about extending the deadline. Has that occurred? And if so, what is the new deadline?
Councilmember Pu, the latest information I have from community services, and I know Rebecca's on the call and she can correct me if I'm wrong, we've actually received over 70 applications. They are reviewing the applications, so we actually had a surge in the number of applications that have come in. And at this point, I think our intent is to go ahead and review the applications we currently have and be able to award assistance to those applicants. I don't anticipate we're going to extend the deadline because I think we've received quite an interest. Rebecca, I don't know if you want to add anything more than what I have.
No, I think that's great, Armine, the information that you provided. The only thing I guess I would add is if by chance we do not end up reaching the 66 that we have, we would be suggesting possibly to council that we go ahead and reallocate some of those funds to the business applications. But at this point, it looks like we will have ample applicants for the tenant or for the housing relief funds.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from anyone, from any of the council? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Dane.
Just asking the Amended because a lot of business owner asking me to when we can do the lottery drawing for the business grant and actually for the housing release. When we're processing, they can know that. Yeah.
Councilmember Ding, as I mentioned earlier, with over 400 applications on the business grant part, there's quite a bit of review and eligibility that we're having to go through. We will definitely, as soon as we have a better sense, I will tell you staff is working away, going through each of the applications. We will make sure we continue providing updates to our business community. As Dominica and Claudia are going through the applications, we will put out information to the business community when we know when that lottery is going to be. So we will make sure everyone knows. And once we know who's been selected, we will notify each applicant. And I believe the same thing on the rental assistance. We have, I believe, over 70 applications. I think it's 77 to be exact, of which 4 applicants may not qualify. So the 73 that remain, we're having to go through each application. And I'm very confident that Rebecca's team will also put out information through all of our public outreach efforts to notify folks of when our timing is. So it's coming in the next few weeks.
Okay. All right, so yeah, okay. So next, because I know some people asking me the specific time, so that's why I need to asking you. Yeah, if a couple of weeks, so you think of how many weeks if they're asking me, so I don't want to like say, oh, just 2 weeks, but actually we need 4 weeks, right? Okay.
That's exactly why I'm not giving a specific timeline, only because it's quite a bit of review we're having to do. What I would suggest for anyone listening in the public or any of you, if you do have individual businesses asking you, please send them to us. We can answer their questions. And as I've said earlier, we will make sure we're putting information out. We have gotten definitely a lot of interest, and I wish we had funding to fund every single request. Unfortunately, because the funds are limited, we do have to make sure that every applicant that's applied qualifies, because these funds are restricted funds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emily.
Okay, any other questions? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, this is for Harmony, because in our city, we do have a lot of skincare salons, and they're asking me, can they do their facials or any kind of skincare outdoor, not inside, but outdoor?
When it comes to that particular use, we are actually currently working with the county to understand how that may be possible. That's actually, we've received a few inquiries in the last week. We've looked to our neighboring cities and we have not been able to identify any that are doing outdoors operations. So we have reached directly to the county to see if this is something that's possible. And if so, what would the businesses have to do? Unfortunately, I don't have an answer this evening because we are waiting to have more clarity on how that operation can take place. And as we've all learned in the last few months, things can change very quickly in the next few weeks. So we are trying to get that answer ourselves. And once we know, I may be bringing more information back to council. It may be a decision that we have to make at a local level as far as what we are comfortable with allowing. So we're trying to get those parameters as we speak.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, next item, please.
Public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. Madam Mayor, we have one comment this evening, and it reads as follows. Good evening, esteemed council members. I would like to communicate a matter of great concern to me at tonight's public comment opportunity. My name is Norma Alejo, and I am the owner of Navarro's Towing located in Monterey Park. I just found out yesterday that an RFP 2020-07 franchise agreement for tow truck services was recently put out on 8/3/2020 with a due date of last Friday, 8/28/20. Unfortunately, my company, Navarro's Towing, did not submit a proposal given the fact that we were not made aware of its publication and didn't come to find out about it until after the closing date. I immediately contacted Captain Valdez to explain to him I have been waiting for this opportunity for many years, including having previous conversations with Chief Lawton regarding the opportunity to provide services to the city of San Gabriel within their police department. I would periodically check with the city clerk's office to see if this RFP would be taking place anytime soon. I was advised early this year that it might be taking place later this year, but that I would be notified. I was not notified and therefore was not given the opportunity to submit a proposal. All of your neighboring cities make phone calls to all of the towing companies which meet the qualifying distance of 5 miles in order to get the most qualified respondents to the RFP, and most of them in our experience have received on average 6 to 8 responses. I am emailing you separately Captain Valdez's response to my inquiry, in which he states they only received 2 responses to the RFP, which I believe is not a big enough pool to get the best towing company to provide this type of service. The RFP reserves the right to reject all proposals and open up the bid process again with a more publicized version, therefore receiving more responses to obtain the best qualified vendor. In addition, with the impact of COVID, keeping an RFP open for only 3 weeks may not be enough time to reach all of the vendors who could potentially be an excellent contractor for the city. The contract awarded is for a 3-year term with 3 one-year option renewals, so potentially I would not get another opportunity for 6 years, which is a very long time. Please reconsider opening this RFP again to get a larger pool of qualified candidates, which would include Navarro's Towing, given this opportunity could not present itself for another 6 years. Thank you for your time. And it's signed Norma Alejo, co-owner and operations manager of Navarro's Towing, Monterey Park. Madam Mayor, that concludes the comments.
Okay, next item, please.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the City Council or public requests separate discussion. Madam Mayor, we have not received requests from the public to pull any items.
Okay. Would any council member like to pull any item for separate discussion? Yeah, I see none. Do I have a motion to approve all the consent agenda items?
Motion to approve consent calendars.
Okay. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
second? Second? Okay.
Excuse me, I'll second.
Okay. Okay. So with no further discussion, Assistant City Clerk Bonas, can you please take the vote?
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Next item, please.
There are no public hearings this evening, so the next item is new business item A, agreement between the City of San Gabriel and the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce for business, economic, and civic promotion services in an amount not to exceed $31,680. Presentation will be made by Economic Development Manager Dominica Megardician.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. The item before you is an agreement between the City and the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce for business, economic, and civic promotion services. On June 2nd, 2020, as part of a larger discussion regarding the city's budget and annual memberships to partnering agencies, the topic of the city's financial support of the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce was raised. The item before you is an effort to formalize the relationship and financial support therein. The San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce has been serving the local business community since 1913. The Chamber's programs and services include business events, development and educational workshops, and marketing assistance. While being physically located in San Gabriel is not a requirement for membership, more than half of the Chamber's members are businesses located in and around San Gabriel, with a membership spanning across Los Angeles County. The City of San Gabriel has long supported the Chamber in their efforts to support and promote our businesses, and have historically partnered for economic development and business growth and support efforts. Additionally, the City has financially supported the Chamber since 1996. The Chamber currently has 248 members. There are 1,575 businesses licensed in San Gabriel, 127 of which hold current memberships with the Chamber. 8% of San Gabriel businesses are represented and assisted by our Chamber of Commerce. In drafting this item and agreement, staff requested information from the Chamber on their current deliverables, Attachment B. The city prepared the draft agreement to align the city's economic development goals with those of the chamber, including partnering to provide support services for San Gabriel business through events, marketing, promotional activities, and general assistance. The deliverables also included a requirement to expand outreach efforts to all parts of San Gabriel and to report back to the city council on their efforts. Staff also researched other city agreements with their respective chambers of commerce to recycle good ideas in aligning our goals and measuring our progress. The draft agreement was shared with Councilmember Harrington as the council's liaison to the chamber, as well as with the Chamber of Commerce Board for their review. In response to the draft agreement, the chamber states in correspondence received on August 17th, 2020, attachment D, that they are unable to accept the agreement as drafted, citing limited resources and staffing. Instead, they have provided an alternative for your consideration, which offers the city a presidential circle membership with the chamber, which continues the networking, marketing, and community outreach, as well as business promotion efforts previously provided to our community. I'd like to note that the alternative offer does not specify partnership with the city on citywide events, which we have historically partnered on, citing that any additional services can be accommodated with additional agreements and additional costs. The draft agreement provides the opportunity to align the city and the chamber in their efforts in business growth, retention, and expansion. The city has recently invested in other economic development efforts, such as the Mission District Market Analysis and the city's support of the Tourism and Marketing Business Improvement District. Partnerships and leveraging of efforts and resources is of utmost importance, especially considering the ongoing impacts of the pandemic to our local economy and the importance of the city to align our efforts, leverage our resources, and provide relevant and effective assistance to our businesses. As such, staff recommends that the City Council discuss and consider the following actions. Number 1, continue exploring formalizing an agreement with the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce for business, economic, and civic promotion services. Number 2, approve counter proposal by the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce for a presidential circle membership, or redirect funding to general economic development account and do not proceed with an agreement with the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce. With that, staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So now the time for public comment on this item is now closed. Chief City Clerk, please read any comments received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening we have 7 comments. The first is from Doug Richter and reads as follows. Since only 8% of the businesses in San Gabriel are members of the SG Chamber of Commerce, the city should follow recommendation number 3 of the staff report and not proceed with an agreement with the SG Chamber of Commerce. And it's signed Concerned Citizen Douglas Richter. The next comment is from Sandy Roscoe, Executive Director of the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce, and reads as follows. Dear Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, and Council Members Ding, Harrington, and Pu, I am writing to ask the Council to thoughtfully consider accepting the San Gabriel Chamber's proposed presidential circle membership. This membership will not only cost over $11,000 less than the city's proposed contract with the Chamber, but will ensure that the Chamber will be able to have a part in the city's economic development team's exciting 10-point plan. The Chamber deeply values and respects the long history we have had with our city. We take great pride in the services we provide and in being a bridge between the businesses, the residents, and the city. We are hopeful Council will accept the Presidential Circle membership that has been offered by the Chamber so that we can continue offering valuable services and being this important bridge. For clarification, membership begins when the $20,000 is paid in full and continues for 1 full calendar year. The next comment is from Sherry Cabot and reads as follows. Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, and council members. The Chamber's response to the proposed city contract option number 2, $20,000 presidential membership, is arrogant and offensive. The city has offered a comprehensive contract including transparency, accountability of money spent, as well as services offered and rendered. The Chamber immediately refused the contract and instead offered the city a membership in their presidential circle at an annual cost of $20,000. And what does the city get in return? The Chamber will, according to their response, participate in groundbreaking and ribbon cutting support the city's outreach on important issues, assist with tours of the city as their schedule allows, and foster important relationships with local elected officials. They will also continue to promote city events and post important information on their website. In other words, nothing that the city isn't already doing, hardly worth $20,000. However, the $20,000 does not include advertising in the Chamber's e-newsletter. The city must pay member rates. In addition, the Chamber has invited the city to be a speaker/sponsor for the new Wake Up with San Gabriel Chamber virtual networking breakfast, again at member rates. So what does the city get for the $20,000 Presidential Circle membership? Not much. It is difficult to justify giving the Chamber any funds when so many businesses in San Gabriel are struggling to survive during the pandemic. Case in point, the city offered a business grant program to help businesses in need. So far, almost 400 applications have been received, with more received daily. However, with current funding through the CARES Act, only 28 businesses can be assisted. What has the Chamber done to help these struggling businesses? Ask them to pay a membership fee and pay to have their name on a cut and paste newsletter, or pay to attend their events and virtual breakfast? How many businesses will be having ribbon cuttings when more are closing daily? If the Chamber really wants to help businesses survive in this difficult time, they should forego any money from the city. The $32,500 they have received in the past, with no strings attached or transparency, would allow an additional 13 businesses to receive $2,500 grants. Even the $20,000 they are demanding would provide 8 more businesses with grants. It's time for the Chamber to stand alone and support themselves without funding from the city. The next comment is from George Valdez and reads as follows. Mayor Menchaca and City Council members, it seems to me that this proposed expenditure to benefit the Chamber of Commerce is an easy vote to make. The Chamber apparently exists to service a small group of longtime clients. They do not do outreach to the ethnic businesses in San Gabriel that comprise a substantial portion of city tax revenue. We need to be fiscally conservative now that our businesses will be contributing less to our revenues. We simply can't afford to give money away that benefits such a small number of our citizens. I strongly urge that you vote for option number 3, redirect funding to the general ED account and pass on any agreement with the Chamber. The next comment is from Dr. Jennings Nunez and reads as follows. To the City Council, transparency and accountability are necessary in all contracts and partnerships the city has with any organization or business. The Chamber of Commerce plays an important role in supporting local businesses and nonprofits. Hopefully, this support will expand beyond the 8% business involvement currently. I agree that the City Council should support the Chamber, but I also strongly agree that there should be a formal agreement or set of expectations when city funds are allocated. The next comment is from Jean Rea, business owner and Chamber member, and reads as follows. Mayor Menchaca and council members, as a past president and board member for the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce, as well as a volunteer and other volunteer-driven entities, I have an understanding of the challenges faced by such organizations. A glance at other business-related organizations such as Kiwanis and Rotary show that maintaining membership, volunteer commitment, and cash flow is difficult, perhaps more so without city funding. Add in changing demographics, both culturally and by age, and it becomes clear that survival requires adapting. That is true not only for the Chamber, but for the city as well. In the wake of the pandemic and business losses, the Chamber will have to do better than an 8% local membership in order to maintain service. And with other pressing needs to be funded, such as infrastructure and business recovery, the city must determine the most effective way to provide support to the Chamber. If that support is to be in the form of a continuing grant in dollars, then I am disappointed that the Chamber, an advocate for business, does not accept the need for clear accountability in the receipt of taxpayer dollars. I believe the individuals I know in the Chamber are sincere in their wish to serve our business community and our residents. One way they can do that is by adopting clear measures of accountability that can serve as a model, especially for new businesses and members as they work to recover from our current economic crisis. I encourage you to have staff continue to work toward an agreement with the Chamber with clear expectations to be handed from one board to the next so that the SG business community is assured of a strong business advocate well into the future. And the last comment this evening is from San Gabriel resident Sean McMorris and reads as follows. Dear Mayor and City Council, I am writing to state my opposition to city subsidization of the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce. The money that would go to the chamber can be better utilized by City Hall to directly benefit businesses in San Gabriel and/or the city's most vulnerable. It is the height of fiscal irresponsibility to grant an exclusive body like the Chamber of Commerce city funds without the guaranteed return of certain services that City Hall itself cannot supply. It is also the height of hypocrisy to demand proper oversight and service parameters for other city contractors, but not the Chamber of Commerce. The San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce is an exclusive, dues-paying organization that does not count the vast majority of San Gabriel businesses as members. The benefits the Chamber provides non-members, if any, are subjective, unmeasurable, and not relevant to the vast majority of San Gabriel residents. Thus, I do not support City Hall allocating the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce any taxpayer funds. What I do support is City Hall apportioning those funds directly to struggling businesses and renters who are most in need of assistance amidst the greatest health crisis in a generation. That said, if the Chamber is to receive any funds from City Hall, it should be through a contract that provides adequate transparency and oversight and outlines exactly how city funds can and cannot be used. For example, the Chamber should not be allowed to use any city funds for political activities or repairs to the executive director's car. This is not an unreadable ask. Any city contract worth the paper it's written on outlines obligations and oversight parameters. Otherwise, it is not a contract, but a gift of public funds. Thus, it is absolutely indefensible that the Chamber or anyone at City Hall would advocate for a meaningless and unenforceable contract. Please be good fiscal stewards of taxpayer funds during this economic and health crisis. Please use city funds elsewhere and more responsibly, in a manner that ensures those most in need receive aid, and in a manner that ensures city funds will not be abused. And Madam Mayor, that concludes the comments.
Okay, thank you. So before we start with council deliberations and discussions, our city attorney has a brief announcement on the subject matter. Turn on your mic, please.
Okay, I guess I'm that guy tonight. Sorry. I do have a quick announcement and update. I received a call today from Councilmember Ding regarding his membership in the Chamber of Commerce. Councilmember Ding was concerned that this could potentially pose a conflict of interest either under Government Code Section 1090 or under the Political Reform Act. Our offices took a look at that question and determined that that involvement is defined as a statutory non-interest, meaning Councilmember Ding can participate fully in this manner. And he asked that I disclose this interest in conversation in the interest of transparency. Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Was there anything further you'd like to say, Councilmember Ding? If not, we can just start with the deliberation.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you to help to disclose that. Yeah, okay, I will, still continue to discuss this matter. Thank you. Mayor.
Great. So since it's been mentioned earlier, Councilmember Harrington is the liaison, so maybe it'd be best for him to kick off the conversation and discussion. Councilmember Harrington?
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. So I just want to be clear that we are discussing the chamber, which is a member agency. It's not a contractor. So I want to make sure we're very clear when we're discussing that. And as well as the number of the 8% membership, that's what I would call a quantitative measure. It's not a qualitative measure, and we do need to look at that. For example, there's many quote unquote licensed businesses that aren't doing business in San Gabriel on a material basis. So for example, if a rooter is here and they come and do one job, they're a licensed business. So that's a number. It's not qualitative, it's quantitative. So when we're saying 8%, I would really take a look at that from that point of view. So another example, someone gets a roof done, like I got my roof done a year and a half ago. the roofer has to go get a business license. They may do one roof this year in San Gabriel, but they're a quote unquote licensed business. So that 8% isn't really a qualitative number as it is a quantity. So it's easy to make a percentage by dividing. So I just want to make sure we're clear about that. So it's not that it's benefiting only 8% of businesses in San Gabriel. Many of those businesses, like your roofer could come from Fontana. They're not a San Gabriel business, but they're a licensed business in San Gabriel because we require that as part of our scheme for our ordinances. So I just want to make sure we're clear about that. And as a member organization, just like we would belong to several other member organizations, and I'm glad that several of the public comments brought this up, we have little oversight. Like say, for example, the League of Cities, we don't get to audit them. COG, we don't get to audit them. Yeah, their budgets are public, but they spend things on many things that probably we don't agree with as the city. So I would say let's take a look at that. Also, that's more of a qualitative analysis regarding what they're spending their money on. And I did have several conversations back and forth with Sandy, as well as several of the actual members and directors, boards of directors. And I think it comes down to, yes, we want the city wants to formalize the arrangement, but they're not a vendor. We have to keep remembering that it's a member organization. I think it comes down to the deliverables that the city demanded very much outweigh the amount of the contract. And so I think that's where, when it's not arrogant to say, you're asking me for $55,000, $60,000 worth of deliverables, but you're only offering me $30,000. I mean, you wouldn't stay in business very long under that model. So if we want to go through and let's say take option A and we want to negotiate, we as a city need to quantify what we believe the value is. The chamber would quantify what they believe the value is, and maybe there's a disconnect there. That might be something that's possible. I went through the contract, and honestly, I don't know that we have a contract like this with any of the other vendors in the city. I can't think of one. And especially when it comes to some of the asks, I think this is a one-off contract. It's not what I would call a templatized contract. I'm not sure what other chambers do in other cities. I didn't really go into it that much. I just know that historically the chamber has been very active with our business community. I do agree that we can do more outreach. We always can. Everyone can always improve, but I don't think it's something that is reflective of some of the comments that I heard. It doesn't benefit directly any single business or any group of businesses. The chamber would love to have more members. They're actively seeking more members all the time. And so I really think that leaving the relationship is not an option. It's whether we want to pursue a contract or whether we want to pursue a membership, just like we have, like I said, League of Cities with Independent Cities Association, other members, the COG. So I think I had some of the same comments regarding those membership entities that some of the people bring up comments tonight did. And it's just a function of the relationship. So I'd really like to hear my fellow council members to see what their impression is. I didn't take it as arrogant. I took it as more, hey, we have a business too. We can't deliver, and why would we enter a contract when we know we can't deliver it? Keep in mind, there's only one employee at the Chamber of Commerce, and everything else is really done by the members themselves and the board of directors. So I'd really like to hear what the rest of the council says about that. Thank you.
Okay, who would like to respond or discuss? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've been involved with Chamber of Commerce for at least 12 years. When I started this St. Gabriel Chinese Association, so I brought all my board members to join St. Gabriel Chamber of Commerce. And yeah, unfortunately, they'll last maybe a couple of years. And let me tell you why they couldn't stay. even though Chamber is doing overall, doing a fantastic job, but because the culture difference, the languages barrier, and also, they focus on a different type of businesses. So all my board members felt, well, they didn't, get anything out of the Chamber of Commerce. They didn't get any help. And yeah, I understand why, and for instance, the chambers like to have mixer events, and all these Asians, they just don't drink, they don't hang out, they don't, they don't socialize with other chambers. They want to work, they want to promote their business, and that's about it. So, and I can see why they're not willing to pay the membership fee. And also, for the past so many years, Chamber did get a lot of help from our hotels, the country club, to provide them free venue, free breakfast, even lunches, that kind of stuff, and really can attract a lot of people from outside of the San Gabriel. And I think that's a success. I remember Rudy, a good friend of mine, he started this breakfast mixer. And he's a very successful real estate broker now. Unfortunately, he moved out to San Gabriel, he moved to Rosemead. And, you can see this billboard signs everywhere. And he's very successful. Unfortunately, we cannot retain him. We should somehow to retain Rudy in our city's business. Another thing is they don't reach out to our community businesses. For instance, I just mentioned, 200-300 restaurants on Valley Boulevard. And if Chamber wants to do a mixer, they can host one of the restaurants on Valley Boulevard, and that would be benefit to them and also to our San Gabriel business. But they look for, restaurants outside of the San Gabriel. For instance, the boat, whatever, it's not inside the San Gabriel. And I think, well, if you really want to promote the businesses in San Gabriel, then you should, just reach out to our own restaurants, for instance, and to promote them, to help them, but I don't see that, for the past 12 years, I don't see the chambers doing that. Other than that, they're very engaged with cities events, dumplings and beer. They sell beers, serves up, they sell beers, and many other events, and they can bring in revenue for chambers, which is good. And I think actually help our city's events too. So in that sense, I don't have any complaint. But again, for past 12 years, I think the only restaurant that chambers use is Artuno, and Artuno's been closed. So unfortunately, they just have to look for other restaurants because we have so many of them. And like I mentioned during this report, from the economic developments, and I have walked straight 2 days, because it's 103 degrees, so this was hot. But still I got sunburned 6 hours every day, up and down, Valley Boulevard. And we do have a lot of business need help. And I know the chambers in the past, they get educational seminar, okay? For instance, they have attorneys group, they come to help, business, and especially right now, if they have landlord tenants issues or, the mortgages issue, that kind of thing, maybe it's about time. I would think this is the right time for chamber to help, our community. It's not just, doing this show, for instance, the expo, which is great. We even used to do this bridal show, that was great. But again, the business community need help now. It's not just show, okay? It's real deal. So, and I don't want to have bad relationship with chamber either, because I've been working with them for so many years. And hopefully we can keep this dialogue going, because if we offer this contract and they felt, well, we cannot comply, we cannot do anything about it, maybe they can come up with the items that they're willing to work with the city and let us know which are the things that they cannot do. I know pretty much all the chambers members, they're all very talented people. And I have no doubt they can do a great job working with the city. So I think, we should just keep talking about it. Not just, I don't feel that a presidential membership would help, because no, I think the chamber has to work closer with our community. That's the whole idea, and maybe under cities oversight. That's just something, since we're using taxpayers' money to subsidize the chambers, and we have the obligation to find out, how we use that funding, wisely. So that's my recommendation, is using proposal number 1, just continue to exploring how we can formalize an agreement. And if nothing can work, and then we decide what we can do. But for now, I would think we can just keep talking about this, and maybe find a middle way that we can accommodate both city and the chamber. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Council Member Pu. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. I think, I agree with a lot of the comments that Vice Mayor Liao made, except for the conclusion. Because I do think that, well, so like at least 4 or 5 years ago, I know that we've all offered to assist the chamber. I think the thing that is, one of the things that is most troubling about the chamber is are those cultural and language barriers that Vice Mayor Liao mentioned, that even some of the members of the community mentioned. I used to have I used to mentor summer interns who were high school juniors and seniors, and one summer we did a small business survey along Valley Boulevard, and we're able to get 77 responses. There's a lot of general info about the size of the business, how many employees, how long have they been in the city, also what primary language they utilize. I'll note that in that survey, 46% of those businesses responded that Mandarin was their primary language. Cantonese, 15.9% said Cantonese was their primary language. 30.1% said English was the primary language. And we also polled as to second language, and 43.3% said English as a second language that they utilize. So we do have, you know, a mix, but I do think that those language and cultural barriers have been a big challenge to the chamber that has not adapted, you know, as one of the members of the public says, to our business community. And the point of this story is really that 90% of the businesses on Valley Boulevard did not even know that there is a San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce. So needless to say, none of them were members of the chamber either, but most were not even aware that there is a chamber. So, I mean, I wish it were possible to continue to negotiate with the chamber. I think that the deliverables that were requested by the staff, and I thank the staff for going through the process of putting together a formal agreement. I think the deliverables and the requirements are reasonable. It's a starting point that you know, I would have liked to see the chamber be able to agree to. So, I guess it's my understanding that they feel like they're, you know, unable to deliver on the requirements. I certainly don't support the presidential circle membership, in part because that, I mean, not in part, but, and then the reason for that is because it sounds like then it's just, we're still giving them money with still no accountability, with no metrics of deliverability, without the transparency. So that halfway in between is like sort of like the worst of both worlds in my opinion, because I think this process is about trying to establish that accountability, establish the transparency. And I think the requirements in the agreement that were put together, and I think discussed with the chamber at length, you know, are quite reasonable. So I do somewhat sympathize with Vice Mayor Liao's position that we continue to negotiate. I guess my question for staff is, do we think that there is any more room for negotiation? And would it be productive to do so? Or are we just at a point now where we made a proposal, they rejected it and made a counter proposal, and that's where we are?
Thank you, Council Member Pu. In response to the correspondence that the city received, we responded to the chamber and asked if they could share with us a little bit how they came up to the decision to offer the membership rather than kind of take us up on the draft agreement. And they cited that the offer was a cost savings measure for the city and that they don't have the capacity at this time to take on the deliverables that were provided to them in the draft agreement. So short of speaking on behalf of the chamber, I'm not sure if they would be amenable to looking at the draft agreement as is, or going back to kind of the drawing board to work out some of the elements and see if we can get closer to where they do feel like they can properly fulfill the agreement.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And while I was going through the staff report and listening to the presentation, you know, at least coming into this discussion, my position was that these funds could be better spent. We just received a report from the subcommittee on you know, economic recovery, and we see how dire the need is out there with respect to our business community. And now, you know, now that I think that the rental assistance program is also fully subscribed, we see how so how much of a need there is in that area as well. And I anticipate that the need in that area will only grow greater as you know, some of the unemployment benefits have expired. Yeah, my initial, you know, thought or position coming in was to basically reallocate the funds to go back towards, you know, being able to offer more business grants and rental assistance. I think I still stand on that position. You know, even though I would love to have a negotiated agreement with the chamber, it does seem like it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to have an agreement that's enforceable, that has, you know, reasonable metrics and requirements in it. And then, you know, the funds, I think, could then therefore, you know, particularly at this point in time, be better used in direct assistance for our business community and our, you know, rental community. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ding.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so for me, it's a little bit, yeah, okay, I'm the chamber member. Okay, I also the council member. So yeah, actually, I agree, Vice Mayor Liao, they say, okay, actually he reminded me to back to a couple years ago, we have the association try participate with our chamber, because that time, okay, I hear a lot of the people that complain our San Gabriel City, it's not business friendly, but that time, okay. So when I joined the chamber commerce, okay, so I have that time I already have some long vision, okay, with several Chinese organization. So it's not just for the Chamber of Commerce with the San Gabriel. We also have discussed with the Maury Park, Alhambra, Temple City, Rosemead, try help the Vice Mayor Liao to help some right now, because of too many. We have a lot of the business person. It's Asia. Okay, they speak not the first language for the English. They have Chinese, Vietnamese, or Latino. So I know that the San Gabriel Chamber, they're working hard. I still agree that they're working hard, try to reach out, but I hope they also have to need the new direction, yeah, but more staff, maybe help the multi-language to do the help our business. So for my side, as a chamber, it should be like a bridge for our city, for our business, and especially for the small business, and for our community too, to help each other, so get each other, you know. And also they have the long history too. So since we need because everything's changed, we have to get the right direction to approach more member from different language barriers. So my personally, that time, even that's a long time ago, I want to help each other, help the chamber to reach out more Chinese speaking, or I speak a little bit the Cantonese too, but I try help it too, you know. So I think for my point, I hope we still can keep some relationship with our chamber. Hopefully they can have the right direction, Vice Mayor Liao to talking about too. The same thing. So but I love to help to them to get a more a membership from our local business, to help our local business. But I also do the transparency, accountability too. So it's a contract. It's a very important to us. I thought our contract is pretty good. It's we provide a contract. It's more transparency, and I also understanding they counter back. Things looks like they cannot perform it, because the reason is because they don't have enough the staff member to affordable to perform the contract. So my point, okay, I hope that we can, the city staff, then talk to them, what's the minimum some like a requirement they can offer. Okay, if they were, if I also want to asking if staff members can talk to them, if they, based on the city requirement, maybe they can provide a proposal that how much they need to spend, then can perform the city requirement. So I prefer like some continued negotiation if possible to them to like get a new contract. It's have the accountability, like how the chamber used our taxpayer dollars to how they can expense, right? That's I wanted they can do. The second option, it's for the like membership, okay. But I don't think the most the council maybe like it. But I just have to my on this weekend, I think about if just in case if we agree, most of the council agree to accept this kind of special membership. So I want to add on like just for the accountability and the transparency purpose, they should be like a chamber should be provided city have several seats for the board of director. So we can like a staff or council, so that's a way of further discussion. But this have the staff member, they can sit on the board to see how they operation. You know, that's help the city have the more like oversight and the transparency for the chamber of commerce, how they can they use our taxpayer money. So yeah, my first choice, like it's number one, continue negotiation. And the second one, it's if most want to choose second one, I asking need the option for the board director seats. Third one, because my point is to want to try help our city the business friendly. So I hope that the Chamber of Commerce become the bridge to understand each other with our city, the business owner, and I also like also hope the chamber also reach out not just the owner, also let our citizen, our community member to understand what they're going on to do that to help our community. Yeah, that's my comments.
Councilmember Ding, Dominica was trying to get your attention. Go ahead, Dominica.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Menchaca. Councilmember Ding, staff did have an opportunity to follow up with the chamber today, anticipating the question of possibly looking into having a seat on the board. The chamber responded saying that according to their bylaws, after a member has been in good standing for 1 full year, they may submit a written request to be considered for a position on the board of directors. As positions open up on the board, all requests come before the board for discussion, vote, and approval by a majority of the board members. The city would need to be a member of the chamber for 1 full year before they can request to have a position on the board.
Okay. So that's meaning option 2. Wait, if option 2, that's not, if we don't have this kind of condition, it's not good for the option 2. You know, because I think this is special membership. I hope their board director can discuss that. Even I'm like a chamber member, I will asking them to have to think about it, because you created a new membership, maybe, yeah, it's a difference, not like a regular membership. I don't know, okay, but first of all, I want to like see the rest of the council member, if we can accept it, then we add on this one. If not, forget about it. We don't need to talk about it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Ding.
Thank you.
So option 2, which is the presidential membership, I completely disagree with it. it's pretty much what we've always done. There's been no accountability, no metrics, no nothing. And so I would never agree to anything like this for this city because we have a responsibility to our taxpayers. This is nothing like the League of California Cities or the COG or anything like that. This is a service that is supposed to help our businesses. And, we are trying to formalize every agreement we have, whether it's with the Historical Association or whoever other group that we work with. So it is important to have very specific metrics. And I know my understanding, and I guess Dominica could just confirm, but my understanding is that this contract is really, we put it together based on, I think it was South Pass and Arcadia. So these are not unreasonable requests. I believe South Pass only has one person too, who happens to be a San Gabriel resident. So these metrics or deliverables, I think, are very reasonable, and I like to read them for the public, although it's on the agenda. But I know it's difficult for everyone to read our agendas. Let me just kind of go through them. It says, where a formal agreement will require quarterly reports to be submitted with invoices, annual reporting, and presentation to City Council on deliverables. Number 2, new limits on funds and political activity using city funds. Number 3, a requirement to increase San Gabriel business membership to the chamber and to make an effort to ensure the membership is representative of our community. Number 4, insurance indemnification requirement. Number 6, increase online and social media presence and utilization to promote San Gabriel businesses. Next one, partnership with the Economic Development Division to provide educational or resource webinars. A minimum number of weekly business visits. And lastly, a new business welcome kit and follow-up visitations to welcome new businesses to San Gabriel. I don't think that's unreasonable in any way. It's $20,000. I also, wanted to propose also kind of a hybrid that in this agreement, if you read it, it's things that our own department could be doing. But at the end, it talks about project by project basis. And this is part of the $20,000 that's being proposed. It says the chamber is willing to discuss providing additional services as needed, as needs may arise. Those additional services will be handled under a separate service agreement with additional costs. Well, if that's the case, why don't we just become a regular member, which is I think $200 or $250. And if our economic team feels that they need to have some type of additional assistance to be that bridge, then we'll hire them on a project by project basis, just like they have there. So that's what I would like to propose. I believe there's already been goodwill here on the part of our staff. They've put the agreement together. They've presented it. It's made clear that, this is not something that the chamber wants to be engaged with. They want to have this presidential circle membership with really no accountability. And I think we've kind of moved on from there. And then if you also look at the number of businesses that are being serviced, it's 127 businesses. I can see if we were a startup, if the chamber was a startup business, I can understand that. But it's been around for a long, long time. I think it was 1997, same age as my second daughter. Unfortunately, the chamber has not evolved, just like our graphics have. We need to adapt, and now we need to adapt for COVID. So it just keeps growing, just gets more complicated. And I just think that, why take it back if they've made it clear already? Let's just use them on a project by project basis, and let's use those monies, the $32,000 that's budgeted, and let's give it back to our businesses. I mean, we're only giving out 28 businesses, business grants, and I don't know. I know Councilmember Ding and Vice Mayor Lau, and you're talking with these businesses. I mean, they need help, and we don't have the budget to reallocate monies, but we do have something here. It's something that maybe we can provide them. And, you know, as there's the needs arise, then we go back to our chamber and just have a regular, you know, membership and continue to work with them when we go back to having gatherings. We're not going to have any gatherings for a long time. We're not going to have ribbon cutting, tours, and it goes on and on. We're not going to have those. And if we do, I think our economic team has now adapted and has moved forward and is able to accomplish that. So we're getting more for our money, I think, now. So if you look at 1, 2, 3, 1, I just don't think, I think they've already rejected it. Number 2, absolutely not, because there's no accountability, no transparency, there's nothing there. And number 3, you know, that would be my preference, but I would say, you know, with that and then with the membership, but just on a project by project basis, not the 20,000, just regular membership and as needed. So that's my proposal. It looks like we have a little bit of everything here. Councilmember Harrington, I see that your green light is on.
I was waiting for you to finish, Sharon. I don't know if you're finished with your comments.
Well, I will, like you say, I will reserve my any further comments after I listen to you. Did you have a?
Well, there's a few things. I have a couple questions for staff because I'd really like to see, like I said, how much they value the deliverables, because I counted like about 30 different deliverables when you go through all the different bullet points. So I'd like to see what their value is, if they ever put a dollar value to it, because I didn't ever see any of that go back and forth. And if the chamber isn't doing that, is someone else going to do that? If it is staff, and do we have the human resources to do that at that cost level? That's a question I would have for staff. And then as far as membership organizations, I do equate a lot of our membership organizations like COG. We may disagree, but I'd say COG, SCAG, they're membership organizations. A lot of times their interests don't even align with the residents of our city. And we have zero oversight. And I brought that up at the budgeting. We don't have any accountability. We can't make them do anything. We don't have contracts with any of them. And we're just a member. A couple other things I would say, I wouldn't agree with taking the money if we don't use this towards the chamber. I wouldn't agree with actually giving it as a gift of public funds directly to businesses. When we use the CDBG funds, those were programmed for that. Our taxpayers, our homeowners, our residents should not be subsidizing businesses directly with their tax dollars. I don't think that's a proper use of our funds when we're talking about being fiscally responsible. So if we don't enter into this and we decide not to do anything, not a contract, not a member, I would not be supportive of taking our taxpayers' funds and directly giving it to businesses. I just don't think that's a good line of business, for example, for the city to be involved in. I understand there's a lot of businesses struggling, but that's not what our tax dollars are meant for. That actually would be a gift of public funds. And then we go from indirectly benefiting, the number was 8% of the businesses, to directly benefiting probably less than 1/100 of an 8% of the businesses. So it's a whole order of magnitude worse than, if you're thinking that 8% is bad, giving it to, let's say you take the 20,000, you give 20 businesses 1,000 each. That's way worse. Or you give 40 businesses 500 each, or whatever you're doing. I think that's a much less desirable use of tax dollars. I really do understand, because I had several conversations with the chamber, their reservations on this, because it is a very significant list of deliverables when you read through them. Honestly, I don't see that. It doesn't seem like we want. Maybe we do just join as we'll call it a normal member, and then maybe we can come up with a bunch of individual smaller, I'll call them work orders rather than a contract. And if we don't like their services, we can do them as one-offs. Like, hey, we need you to do these services for this event. And if we don't like it, we just stop using them. It's very simple. We don't have a long-term contract. Maybe there's stuff that they can do better than our staff. Maybe our staff does it better. Who knows? But I still think there is a possibility of making a deal on one possibility or the other, but if it's not the will of the council, it's not the will of the council. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pu, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify for members of the public that the chamber is nothing like these other organizations like the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments or Southern California Association of Governments. Those other organizations are joint powers authorities, which are quasi-governmental agencies that are regional planning, planning organizations. So that's completely, trying to mix apples and oranges for sure. So in any case, I just wanted to make sure that, there wasn't any confusion among the council or among the public that somehow this Chamber of Commerce is akin to, one of these organizations like the Council of Governments, which represents the entire San Gabriel Valley, or Southern California Association of Governments representing all of Southern California except for San Diego, or the League of California Cities, which is, representing all local agencies or all cities throughout California, 460 some of them, especially in Sacramento, on legislation that affects local control. So, they're not; those are not comparable agencies. Just wanted to make that clear. And I would just say I think I still support recommendation number 3 in response also to it being a gift of public funds. Well, I guess for the longest time, then this has been a gift of public funds to the chamber, to a private membership organization. It would be as if we gave 30-something thousand to Kiwanis each year without any deliverables, or the Native Sons, or Rotary, or any other membership organization that's private membership organization that's within the community. So if we were able to use those funds then just for general economic development purposes, I wanted to, in that sense, echo Mayor Menchaca's comments that, with the 10-point plan and with all the things that our economic development team is doing now, in a way, our own staff has, and our subcommittee, Vice Mayor Liao and Councilmember Ding, are already doing everything that the chamber should have been doing and then some. And, in somewhat response to Councilmember Ding's comments that to then ask the chamber, or even Councilmember Harrington, to then ask the chamber, well, how much do we value each of these deliverables? What would it cost to make it possible? If we were going down that route, then why don't we, why don't we program it as part of our own economic development efforts? And with $30,000, it might be, that could at least fund either, either a contractor that would be able to help do that, provide that service for a year, or perhaps like a half-time, part-time position, or even just, resources that we would then be able to augment the services that we already provide. So, I think that any way you slice it, unless unless the chamber comes back and says, well, yes, we can do all these things, that were specified in the agreement. I don't see it being, having any other a good basis then to choose anything other than option number 3. Anyway, thank you.
Well, I don't see any consensus or hear any consensus. Vice Mayor Lau?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'd like to move the motion to adopt option 1, continue exploring, formalizing an agreement with Chamber of Commerce. And if that doesn't work, then we just take another step. So for now, we want to give them the chance to discuss whatever the agreements that we want, and they can comply. So I like to motion that.
Okay,
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second. Any further discussion? Okay. City Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Sure. Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Oh, excuse me.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Is there anything else you need, Dominica, from us? Is it clear? Clear as mud.
I think we're all set. Thank you, Mayor Menchaca.
Great, thank you. Okay, next item, please.
CARES Act funding. Presentation will be made by Interim Finance Director Ken Louie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight, we formally received the long-awaited dollars from the CARES Act of 2020, as well as lay out a potential spending plan of how to account for and spend the dollars. Next slide, please. You'll recall that the CARES Act established $150 billion of coronavirus relief that the City of California will allocate to cities based on population. Our city, the City of San Gabriel, will receive $495,000 by October 2020, which is now this month, next month. Next slide, please. What are the requirements of the CARES Act? Well, each expenditure must have been incurred due to COVID, and these funds could not have been accounted for in a normal budget cycle, meaning you can't apply them to your normal expenditures. These expenditures initially will have to have been incurred from March 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. Also, it requires that each city be certified and apply and be pre-authorized. Next slide, please. The proposed plan is broken into 3 parts of how we would expend the dollars. First and foremost, technology. Secondly, we request additional funding for the senior meals. And third and finally, the balance of the dollars would go into contingency reserve. Next slide, please. First, technology, which would be really the lion's share of the dollars spent. Staff is requesting that we update technology throughout the organization for approximately $175,000. And this would be primarily to achieve greater efficiency and be able to comply with the Safer at Home order. This would allow the public and our constituents to experience the most updated platforms of communication and commerce. We like to most efficiently communicate, be able to work with our outside public as far as having documents signed, being able to process payments and so forth. Next slide, please. Secondly, this plan would allow for senior meals. Now, our current budget does provide for meals, which we feel the fund would probably last through September of this year. However, this plan would include for an additional $40,000, which we feel will get us through the end of the calendar year, which would be December 31st. Next slide, please. And finally, the balance of the dollars would go into the contingency fund. This would be approximately $197,000, which may be accessed for fiscal emergencies for the balance of the year. We're recommending this because we feel there's still 10 months left in the year, and we feel it's the most prudent way to put these dollars aside because we don't know what the next 10 months holds. Next slide, please. We do, however, want to give council options. With the remaining dollars, perhaps they could use it for the housing relief program or a business grant program, as discussed earlier this evening. So those options are definitely viable options and allowable under the program guidelines. Final slide, please. And with that, I'll take any questions. We also have in the staff report a list of the potential equipment we'd like to purchase. There are a couple items which we've had to already purchase, such as the thermometers and so forth. But your big ticket items, we're waiting for council approval on this, council's buy-in on this. Again, this is merely to help us to be able to work with the public at the highest level, the most efficient level. I also have David Ospina, head of IT, on the call as well. Can answer any questions if you want to go deep into any of the IT items. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, so we'll now make the announcement. The time for public comment on this item is now closed. Chief City Clerk, please read any comments received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one comment this evening. It is from Dr. Chastity Jennings Nunez and reads as follows. To the City Council, the CARES Act requires that the payments from the Coronavirus Relief Fund only be used to cover expenses that, 1, are necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to COVID-19, 2, were not accounted for in the budget most recently approved, and 3, were incurred during the period that begins on March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30, 2020. The City of San Gabriel is anticipating $495,000 in CARES Act funds. On June 9, the City Council planned to utilize $186,000 of the anticipated funds to directly help the residents of San Gabriel. 66 $1,000 grants were made available for housing relief and 28 $2,500 business grants. In addition, approximately $50,000 was allocated for the Senior Meals Program. Apparently, there have been only 40 applicants for the housing relief and over 400 for the 28 business grants. How has the city promoted and provided information to San Gabriel residents about the availability of $1,000 housing grants for low-income families? I find it incredibly difficult to believe there would only be 40 applicants given the extremely difficult financial times many people are in currently. Did the city utilize a partnership with SGUSD to get the information to the families? With the right outreach, the response should have been as overwhelming as the business grants. For the business grants, how is business defined? How many businesses are registered in San Gabriel? Why do the grant amounts need to be the same regardless of the size of the business? Maybe 10 $2,500 grants to larger business and 50 $1,000 grants to business that have 2 or 3 employees may have been a better way to help more people. While I agree that technology improvements are necessary, I do not believe that the spirit of the use of the CARE Act funds is upgrade the city's computers and phone systems now. I do not think that utilizing $175,000 for these upgrades is either necessary or the proper utilization of these funds. There are not that many city employees that work in City Hall. As LA County reopens, why can't city employees be brought back to their offices and fewer funds be utilized to maintain remote and limited services? Attachment B of technology needs due to COVID looks more like a Christmas wish list, certainly predated COVID and should be reevaluated to significantly reduce the use of CARE Act funds. These funds should primarily be used to allow an increase in housing and business relief grants and other social services, including the $40,000 to continue to fund senior meals to directly benefit the city's residents secondary to COVID hardships. This is especially true because the economic fallout for COVID will extend far beyond the repeal of the Safer at Home orders. And Madam Mayor, that concludes the comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, who would like to start with this agenda item? Vice Mayor?
Yes, Madam Mayor, anytime you want me, I'll say something. Yeah, I agree, because I was talking to other cities. The majority of them, they spent the CARES Act money on PPE. One city that I know, they have smaller population than San Gabriel, but they spent 1 million already. But fortunately, I think San Gabriel received a lot of, donation from community members. And so we don't have to buy a lot of PPE. So looks like we're going to spend that much money on technology improvements. Yeah, in a way, because right now we cannot meet in person, so we have to use this virtual meeting, and we can improve technology to make the meetings smoother and better. maybe there is the right reason for that. Seniors meal, I support, but however, a lot of seniors complain to me too. They got too much food. What happened is we have adult daycare centers, they're not open, but they also receive meals besides from the county, from the city. So it's just a lot of food. And I hope they don't waste the food, because I was going to talk to Christian Warner from Athens now, because yeah, I just want to find out.
That's the next item.
I know, but I'm talking about the meals program. Okay, if there's a need for more food, that's the question. So, but it comes to business grants, I support that. Because we don't want to use the money for future use. We need to spend the money now. Other cities, for instance, their fire department, they need ambulance, and to help delivery patients and COVID patients, so they can purchase an ambulance with this CARES Act money. So my proposal for this is use all this money just according to the STEPS report, but use the leftover for business grants. Again, we have more than 400 small businesses. They apply for this $2,500 grants, but we only can give them 28. So it seems like we're not really doing the work to help them. So I think this will be a better solution. At this critical time, we need to use the money wisely, and we can help that whoever desperate need. Okay, so I think that will be my proposal. Use that whatever the money left. I think it's 175, and we use that for small business grants. Okay.
I'm sorry, I think it's 197,000.
Oh, is that? Let me see. I have
Yes.
to,
The 175 is for technology.
It's
and
197,472.
okay, 197.70. Yeah. So I agree. Use that money for small business grants.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we would like to speak next. Councilmember Harrington? Oh, Councilmember Pu, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Either way. Yeah, I somewhat agree with Dr. Nunez and her public comments that using this money for technology upgrades doesn't seem to be in the spirit of the CARES Act funding. I certainly agree that some amount of this should be set aside for perhaps like another tranche of small business and housing relief grants. And I say that because as we're now going through the applications for the small business grants and the housing relief grants, maybe we will learn about how we can tailor the program to better deliver and have it be targeted for different tiers and so forth. And I would, for me personally, I would like to see just as much, if not more, funds be put into the second round of relief grants than we did with the initial CDBG funds. So that was a total at that time of only 136,000. So I don't know. I think I would propose to use at least $200,000 for small business and relief grants, the $40,000 to fund the senior meal program through the end of the year, I think that, even though there may be multiple sources of food, the fact that that program has grown from 30 or 40 participants to now over 250, again, shows that the need that, we have been fulfilling within the community. And yeah, I guess just overall, I think that the worst of the economic impacts of COVID, I believe, are yet to come. And so we should really be preparing more for that. And, separately been discussing with staff, and I actually appreciate the report that Vice Mayor Leal gave at the beginning about how many of those businesses that he visited were still closed. I wanted to say that he said that he delivered 213 supply kits. 56 of those businesses were still not open. 12 of those businesses he visited were, completely out, like we're just gone. Their vacancies. We need to start getting our arms around what that carnage is, and then how we can best be of service in helping our community recover. I'm not suggesting either that we should be more focused on our business community than our residential community. Quite the opposite. I think that, we will probably need to allocate even more funds in the future for housing relief than for the small business program. So yeah, it's hard to say at this point in time exactly what the scale or what the scope of each would be, but I would just say, allocating a large portion for that, maybe even 250,000 for that, 40,000 for the senior meal program, and then having the remainder be put into the general fund contingency fund, because again, I don't think we know yet, where these these resources could best be used to make sure that we stabilize our community. Again, I do think that the worst of the impacts are still on the horizon, especially as it relates to housing. Because to be honest, I think, up until this point, rental payments, at least as far as I understand countywide, have been holding up relatively well. But if unemployment assistance is no longer there, and we're still largely in shutdown, then we're, I think, going to see more defaults. And then if you see, and that will also, I think, have a really negative effect, and as far as homelessness as well. And so, I think we need to start planning or making sure we're prepared to assist individuals who might be in those circumstances. And I do think that need is going to be quite severe. So those are my thoughts and comments. I don't know, if I haven't done sort of a thorough. In other words, I think my proposals for the allocations are not sort of set in stone. Of course, I would want to work with staff and see how we might be able to design programs that would be of most assistance, because we do see such a high level of need. But yeah, I would suggest that we focus more on that form of direct assistance with these funds, and then having a contingency is also a good idea for us as a city. At the end of the day, we may end up putting those funds also into relief measures if the need is great enough, and there's a way that we can be able to be of assistance to help make sure a family doesn't become homeless, or being able to help that one or those several businesses that would be on the edge of going out of business if we don't provide some assistance. We don't quite know yet what the what the situations are going to be that we'll need to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just ask staff, just to kind of piggyback on what Jason, Councilmember Pooh just said. if we would allocate these CARES money, would we be subject, or the city still be subject to the same requirements we have under CDBG? Because, we're going through this, we would have to process the applications and there would be certain requirements, or is it more free, less restrictive than the CDBG funds?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is Mark Lazaretto. The answer to your question is a little bit of both. We have a little bit less restriction because our funding comes straight from the state of California, which is straight from the federal government. So we don't have the layer of red tape where our CDBG money came through the county, through the I can't remember their exact name anymore, but it used to be the Community Development Corporation. And what we end up doing with them is having to get all of our programs approved through them. Whereas we have requirements from the state of California that are straight from the federal government. So it's an easier process to follow. So the short answer is we have a little bit more flexibility. And but if we wanted to continue those same programs that we have already put in place, we can do whatever dollar amounts that the council decides and very quickly put those programs in place.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Do you have a clarification, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, so I just attend, webinar, and this is hosted by the State Economic Development. Every city has to file a report, it's online report, whatever the money we use, and they have itemized things. So it's easy, this is money for us to spend, but we still have to report to the state. So that's the simple way. I didn't follow all the details, but I think it's very simple to log in the information online. And regarding the rental assistance, and because I'm involved with the small business grant, so I did not spend too much time promoting rental relief, but I did talk to a few families, and their interest, of course, $1,000. But then when they heard, well, the $1,000 is going to send it to the landlord, not to you. So a lot of them, well, why would I do that? But that's one consideration. But I think send the check to the landlord is the most appropriate way, because you send it to the tenants, you don't know what they're going to do with that money. So maybe, we're going to continue with rental assistance program. We just need to do a bigger promotion, just like we did for small business, and using media power and maybe social media, and we can attract more people to apply. And yeah, just right now, I just think, well, out of how many people live in city of St. Gabriel, and we only have, less than 60 people apply. So that's kind of, yeah, maybe I should ask Rebecca, how do we approach our community people for their applying for rental assistance?
We can't hear you, Rebecca. Your mic is on, but we can't hear you. Are you using?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
I'm using both. I've got both going. So we provided multiple pieces of information via social media. Obviously, we also did a significant outreach with all of our communities, churches, and our nonprofits, because we know that they have direct contact with either members or families in their organization that might need assistance. That was through all of the churches, as well as AYC and La Casa. Information was provided in multiple languages to those groups. We did not get to the point yet of connecting with San Gabriel Unified School District. That is an additional outreach. I know that was something that the public comment suggested. That was not an outreach that we did, but that would be something that we could do in the future. We have heard from local communities that they have also had challenges with getting a lot of participants for the housing relief program. So I don't know if the information that you provided, Vice Mayor, is one of the concerns that people have, that the payments would go to the landlord. If that is a concern of people in other communities as well. And just to make a note on that, I know there was a couple of different numbers were thrown out there. We have had 77 applicants for that program to date. So.
Okay. Vice Mayor, we still have 3 more council members.
Thank you. So, yeah, so, we would just want to find out maybe for next round, who knows, maybe there's another next round of CARES Act, we're talking about it, HEROES Act, who knows which bill will be passed. So hopefully there will be a second round of funding. In that case, maybe next time we'll just do better community outreach, including the St. Gabriel Unified Schools and others. And I'm sure, there's families they can prove that, they're qualified. Their income is not, over the limit. So I think we can attract more applicants. One thing that I noticed is, because we only ask for address, rental agreement. Is that what we need? And the landlord's address, and nothing else about their personal information. I'm just trying to say, hey, if they're residents that they don't have proper documentation, maybe they don't want to apply. Something maybe keep them from applying this grant. But as I understand, the form is pretty straightforward, right?
So there is an initial application that requires a certain amount of information, and then there is also a follow-up application that requires some more extensive detailed paperwork. And again, that is because we are complying with community development block grant funding for that. So the information that we have received thus far with the 77 applicants is just that initial application. And then we will be following up with them to receive their additional information, because we do need to verify that they've had challenges due to COVID and all of that information. So there is a significant amount of paperwork that is required. And I believe that is similar to the business fund, business relief grants as well. That kind of initial information as well as the follow-up.
Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Ding.
Yes. For this CARE Act fund, my question is for this new technology, the 175,000. If the question is if we don't have this like CARE Act fund, so where the fund with this kind of expense is from our general fund, or where the expense? If just don't have this kind of fund, yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Ding. If we don't use CARES Act funding for these purchases, this is something that we won't purchase. We would hold off for the time being until we can figure out how to program those into the general fund. I will say, just to respond to the public comment and to a couple of questions that earlier council members have made, we did talk with staff and stress the fact that any money that we don't spend goes into our general fund reserve and our contingency. And so while this may look like a wish list, we tried to keep it down to the bare minimum we felt we would need to serve the community better. Some of this, and if I had to make a plea from staff, the phone system at a minimum would be something I think we should look at putting in, and that would be about $45,500 So round number would be a $50,000. And the reason for that is we have a majority of staff that are still working in the city and City Hall and in our various buildings, but we can't even properly socially distance them throughout our facilities because we can't effectively transfer calls and we can't transfer voicemail or anything else. So even just to provide basic services while our staff is at City Hall, we have everybody as socially distant as possible and everybody's wearing masks, but we could move folks throughout the organization and still provide services to the community in that way. Our phones have been down for the last 6 days because they are so antiquated. And so we've had to rely on only emails and forwarding our numbers to one number that's still up at one of our offsite buildings. So that's my long-winded way of saying it may look like a wish list, and I could see how folks would see that. But we do believe this is essential for serving our public. And everything on that list, I think, could be justified. But if council could find it as part of your deliberations, if you decide to go with anything other than that full list, if at a minimum we could upgrade the phone system, that would be a huge plea from all the staff. Sorry to answer, Councilman Ding, your very short question with a very long answer.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. That's a good answer. No, yeah, I'm the computer guy, so I agree that if we really need like a new technology, yeah, we need to use the technology more efficiency work. Okay, the question is just if just in case don't have this one, what's our plan? So I want to know for the phone system. It's we already changed the new system, or just right now current the system down is because the old technology.
We have not changed the system. The system is down, and AT&T's been out for 2 days fixing it, and we will fix it, and it will be up and running by tomorrow at the latest. But what we are proposing is a new voice over internet protocol that we could then answer our phones from anywhere, whether it's when we're out in the city or at home or throughout the city facilities, and be able to transfer phones between the city facilities. That would come back to the city council at a future council meeting for approval. So tonight you would just be allocating the funding, and then you would actually approve the purchase at a future council meeting after we got bids for that.
Okay, so all of this listing is we not spend the money yet, right? Just the proposal.
There were a couple of items that we have purchased. The thermometers, we have every single employee with a touchless thermometer that they have at their house, and they check themselves every morning before they come to work and make sure that they don't have a fever. And we've made a couple of the other smaller purchases, less than a couple of $1,000s, but the vast majority of this has not been purchased yet.
Yeah, also it's good if like for the employee the protection, the thermometer, like this kind of purchase, I agree, because this COVID-19 related. But for the rest of the expense, maybe we can discuss, so what's the proper way? So and the question for the phone system, because this time down the phone system, it's AT&T try to fix it. If we use the new system, will be reduce that kind of problem or not? I just want to make sure.
Very much. It would be a completely different system that would be more reliable. The technology would be replaced. And actually, after we spent the initial cost, our costs would go down on a yearly basis over what we pay to AT&T going forward.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so if it's phone system, if like, because you say that this help our like working home the employee to do that, if they install the new system, how long they will take?
It wouldn't be AT&T. We would get several bids, but we would likely go, there are a couple of vendors in that world, and we would likely go with a different vendor. It's very quick. It's, within a couple of weeks, they would have us up and running.
Okay, couple of weeks. So you think that how long, like we probably will still like keep like working home, not working in the city?
That's a great question, Councilmember Ding, because I think that we're all finding out that there are ways that some of us can work from home in all of our industry. I'm not talking just about the city, but there could be folks that have working at home as an option forever. And again, not just city workers, but folks in other industries. So I think that, and that's something that would help us in the future attract new employees, as if that were an option to be able to provide, 1 or 2 days a month or so working from home. So the answer to your question is I see us using that forever. But in the shorter answer of when we think people will come back to work, we are essential workers, so we're not bound by the same county rules as other businesses. And so we are able to work now from the office, and we do have folks that have been working the whole time from City Hall. Offices in general are not open yet. The county health order does not allow just general offices to be open. And so it may be, it depends on when our numbers in the county start to drop to the point where we get to the governor's next stage of being able to open offices and some of that in non-essential kind of work. So we figure several months before we're able to be, as a society, able to be open and working in offices for non-essential type businesses.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I agree that maybe with this, it's really like COVID-related technology we need, it's fine. But I also agree Vice Mayor Liao regarding we need even Councilmember Cruz regarding we should be put on more fund for our business, because you see that this time we have more than 400 people to apply. There are only 28. That's meaning really not enough. And I meet some a business owner told me, okay, so they are really tough because they have to close down a couple, maybe weeks or 1 or 2 months. They still need to pay the landlord rent. But the rent, they talk to the landlord don't do any response. But yeah, our resolution is try to encourage the landlord and the tenant, try have some negotiation, right? So if the landlord can help the tenant, it's a perfect way. But sometimes you never know. They I talked to this business owner. He say, yeah, he sent the mail to the landlord to talking about reduce the rent for him. It's a business. It's hard to do it. It's the income is not enough to afford it for the rent. And he has the business in the San Gabriel more than 10 years. So yeah, I think that if we have this kind of, if most of the council members agree, give it to the more money for the business, maybe that this time we do the lottery draw, but this time maybe we have some new category especially help really maybe they, because they are effective their income, effective their not just lottery, just based on the scenario. Okay, I don't know how to make this kind of rule, but I think staff can help to help their kind of business, the small business owner, how to pay their rent, So that's for the business owner. And I agree that we have the moment. You also have 40,000 money. It's for the senior meal. Yeah, it's still continue help our senior. That's definitely to help. Yeah, and for the home release, it's good. We have the 66 people that can get it, but we only have 77. Can we just also increase the fund for this kind of the people they already applied? Maybe another 20. I don't know. You have 11. Another $20,000 probably. Yeah, most of the people that can qualify. So to help them too. So or we get the more fund for the home relief, and we do the more outreach. Okay, to let the tenant or the landlord know that. But Vice Mayor Liao mentioned, because they say, the money not go for the tenant, just direct go to the landlord. Yeah, that's the reality of the question too, you know. So maybe there's some people it's not really want to apply. So maybe we can find another way to like approach them. Hope they can apply. The more people can apply to help the tenant and help the landlord. Yeah, that's my comments. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Ding. Councilmember Harrington?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I had a lot of the same concerns as my fellow council members, and as well as the comment brought up by Ms. Jennings Nunez. When I read this, I really was thinking about the two programs we already have in place. And I appreciate your comments, Mark, regarding the phone system. I think that is actually vital. And that does probably offer us the most leverage as far as providing service. And so I would be for funding that part of the technology ask. But I really think funding our programs that we have in place is the I would say the best and highest and best use of these funds, because that's what's going to help the entire community the most, is keeping businesses in business, which employs people, small businesses as well as their employees. If we can keep them going for as long as we can, it's less likely that people are going to miss out on their rent, not be able to pay their rent. So the combination of those two things helps a lot more people. I can tell you, I know people in our community that have taken on second jobs and part-time jobs, and just to be able to pay the rent, and not even all the bills, just the rent. So I agree with Jason. This is going to be a long time digging out of this. This is not a 6-month or 1 year thing, and I think there will be more rounds. I don't know how much our ability to service the public has suffered. I know it has. I just don't know the quantity. But I think the technology has been a need for years and years and years. This is a unique event, hopefully. So I really do think the programs are where this money needs to go. And this money is meant for that. It actually comes from the federal government for that purpose. So I would support using to upgrade our phone system, but I don't really support a lot of the other ask. And I understand the need for it, but it's not really, to me, germane to what this money was programmed for. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Harrington. Well, I do agree with a lot of the comments that have been shared. I'll just try to go through mine. I definitely believe we need to continue with the senior meals. The need just continue to grow. And the phone system, I was going to ask, what is the bare minimum? Because we've always been behind technology-wise, and especially now with COVID, the demands are even greater. So, but if the phone, which is a basic, a need we need to be able to communicate with our community, and our phone systems have been down, email is not sufficient. There are still people who don't use emails, that don't have a computer. So saddens me to even hear the fact that, we can't even have a phone available for our community. So I would say senior meals, the phone, and the remaining would be for grants. How we would parcel that out, I don't know if staff could just bring back a proposal and let us know, but maybe just have one line item, grants, business and housing relief grants, and then maybe we can just fold that into our subcommittee. Our subcommittee could work with staff and then bring that proposal back to us, how we would parcel that out. Hopefully sooner than later, because it's just, this is on the long haul, and it's been since March, so I'm predicting there is going to be just a need. I mean, there's no way to say it otherwise. So I'd like us to be very timely on this and not wait 2-3 months, but we can turn it around quickly. So put the pressure on the subcommittee, Vice Mayor and Councilmember Ding, turn this around quickly for our community because they need the money. And so hopefully, well, I guess we have to make a motion for this. We all kind of have different ideas. I think, let's see, we agreed with the senior meals. Hopefully, I think I saw some nods for the phone. And so whatever that math is, it's $495, that's the 40,000. Can't help me out here. And
Yeah, I'm showing if we do the 40,000 for senior meals, the 45,586 for the phones, the balance would be 316,786. And that might sound lower than you're thinking because part of the first portion of it goes to last year, attributable to last year. So tonight we're really only allocating 412, 472.
okay, because we said 50,000 was the bare minimum. I mean, I'm rounding up. I think there was.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, 50 for the phones.
Okay, so we're at
40, and so we're looking at
so 90.
412.
Okay, between the two. Okay.
So what are the numbers again? I'm sorry.
So it would be 90,000 going to the senior meals and the phones, and then the balance.
90,000 or 40,000?
It'd be 45. I'm sorry, 50,000 plus 40,000 is 90,000, right? 50,000 for the phones and 40,000 for senior meals.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So it's 90,000, right?
Yes.
Against 412, right?
Yes.
So it'll be 322, 472 being allocated
for
to business programs.
So
Okay.
Mayor,
If I may,
Councilman.
yes, if I may, I mean, I think I can support the phone system and certainly the support of the senior meal program for the remainder of the year. But then I would ask that the balance of the 495 then be just simply brought back to council for further approval after
Okay, yeah.
staff and the subcommittee has an opportunity to not only process the first round of business assistance and housing relief grants, but then see if there's things that we can learn from that to better tailor the program for the next time. And it wouldn't just be specifically for business, small business grants. I think we need to have a pretty good significant portion in there for housing relief as well.
Well, I'm just labeling it grants. So we would say
Yeah,
business
yeah.
and housing grants or relief grants.
So I'll make the motion to.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Poop. Can we just let the city manager you were going to say something, Mark?
I was going to say what Councilman Pu said, but in a much less eloquent way.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity before we made the motion. Okay, Councilmember Pu, would you like to make the motion? I guess you kind of did indirectly, but.
I'll move to allocate 50,000 of the CARES Act funds for upgrade of the city phone system, 40,000 for support of our senior meals program through the end of the year, and the remainder of the funding to be brought back to council for discussion and with the intention of those funds being used for various forms of aid for our community.
I'll second.
Madam Mayor,
Okay, so we have a first and a second.
Discussion.
Brief discussion. Yeah, brief discussion. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
okay, thank you. So, the deadline to apply was 28th, August 28th. And within a week of time, we have to start letting people know, council member Dean was asking how long it's going to take for our staff for this random drawing. And we cannot wait too long, for this funding again. We want to use it for rental assistance or for small business grants. We need to decide as soon as possible, not just go through another ad hoc committee and bring back the city council for discussion, because this money has to be spent. And also, I remember talked about the city has report to the state, and I'm sure they have several categories that can be qualified for using the fund. They're so lengthy, so many. So I didn't keep up with all this information. So I think the staff maybe can look up the state's web portal and see what can we use the funding for. I think that's number one priority. But I would think 50,000 phones should be okay, but 40,000 seniors meal, that certainly qualify. And for rental assistance and business grants, yeah, I'm sure these all fit into the category of this CARES Act funding. So
Okay, so let's vote.
Councilman,
Yeah.
Mayor, if I can address the councilman's questions. I was in the portal this morning, and basically we need to submit everything by September 4th. So I'm glad you guys came to a consensus on this. But to answer your question, what can it be used for? Really, the short answer is anything caused by COVID. Anything out of your normal budget, which is caused by COVID, is pretty much usable. I was surprised. Matter of fact, even on the technology equipment, you don't even need to get bids, because they realize it's an emergency situation, doesn't require bids. So again, the short answer is anything caused by COVID.
Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing to know the deadline is September 4th. We don't have time to come back to the city council to make another report how we're going to use the money. Basically, we just have to decide right now.
Mark, I believe you have enough information right now to file the report by September 4th. They don't want that much detail.
We do. Mayor Menchaca, it's Mark Lazaretto, and I don't want to prolong this, but Vice Mayor Liao is right that the report is due September 4th. Not to get into the nitty gritty details though, but we have already satisfied the requirement for the $495,000 just based on staff salaries that we've already spent. So we don't have to justify anything more. We can use that $495 for anything COVID related, but our reporting is done and we're locked into that money and don't have to worry about that part of it. So I agree with him that this is something of a fast nature, because we want to help our businesses and our residents as quickly as possible, but it's not something that we can't wait 2 weeks to bring back to the city council for a program.
Great. Is that satisfactory, Vice Mayor?
Okay, yeah, as long as the city manager, agreed to the September 4th. Oh, Armene has comment.
Armene? Would you like to make a comment? Go ahead. We can't hear you.
Mayor, council members,
go.
what I was going to suggest was we will actually follow up with I was going to say we will follow up with our subcommittee tomorrow and set up a time to meet and start working on what we can do for our business grant. So we will certainly work with them ASAP. We're committed to doing that.
Thank you, Armene.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, Assistant City Clerk Bonus, please take the vote.
Councilmember Dean,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Next item, please.
Fifth amendment to the amended and restated agreement with Athens. Presentation will be made by Public Works Director and City Engineer Greg DeVink.
Good evening, Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, council members, and our safely distanced listening audience. My name is Greg DeVink. I'm the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of San Gabriel. The Public Works Department is returning tonight with a proposed fifth amended and restated agreement with Athens Services for council consideration after a presentation and discussion was done at the July 21st, 2020 council meeting. At our July 21st meeting, Christian Warner of Athens Services and I made a presentation to council that discussed Athens' history with the City of San Gabriel and their existing contract, Athens as a company and their expanding resources and services, relevant laws and how compliance affects the industry and San Gabriel's customers, potential contract options for council consideration, terms that the other agencies have opted into, and a sample of what an invoice might look like. Athens has been the city's sole contracted solid waste hauler since October of 2000, when they purchased our prior exclusive hauler who served San Gabriel since at least 1948. That's the oldest contract we could find. Over recent years, several state mandates have been passed that imposed additional requirements and restrictions on waste hauling and recycling. The cost to comply with these expensive and unfunded requirements has to be passed along to the consumers. This amendment allows for the phasing in of 2 separate 7% annual increases to cover the cost of these required programs. Athens will perform all the necessary services to comply with these new laws and will also indemnify the city of San Gabriel in our compliance obligations. Trash hauling contracts tend to be long-term contracts in order to amortize the very expensive investment needed to begin service to a new city. It is typical of solid waste hauling contracts to have a rolling term contract where each year the full term renews again until either party provides notification of intent to terminate the contract. San Gabriel currently has an 11-year rolling contract, which is fairly low relative to many other nearby cities. A solid waste committee comprised of Mayor Menchaca, Councilmember Harrington, City Manager Lazaretto, and myself reviewed, evaluated, and proposed numerous contract options with Athens and ultimately decided that the only viable options were contract term extensions in exchange for financial compensation. Staff presented 3 options for council discussion. No change to the contract term, which is 11 years and no additional compensation to the city. A medium-term increase, which would add 7 years to our 11-year contract in exchange for an annual payment of $175,000, and a long-term increase, which would add 14 years to the 11-year contract in exchange for an annual payment of $350,000. These proposed annual payments will be increased by a consumer price index over time. After much discussion, the majority of council favored the 25-year long-term option with an understanding that Athens will likely be the city's solid waste hauler for many more years, regardless of the option selected. A 25-year contract is in line with the terms that many of our neighboring cities have. However, due to the wide diversity of contract terms, services provided, and city populations, it's impracticable to accurately compare specific terms of other contracted agencies. But based upon the available information, staff believes the offer of $350,000 annual payment for an additional 14 years of rolling contract time is at the upper end of benefits relative to other neighboring agencies and provides a good value to the city. Tonight, I am presenting to council a 5th amended and restated agreement with Athens Services that accommodates our mandatory compliance with unfunded state laws and increases our rolling contract term from 11 years to 25 years in exchange for an annual payment from Athens of $350,000 adjusted by a consumer price index. No part of these future payments to the city will be passed along to the Athens customers of San Gabriel. Christian Warner of Athens Services and I are available now to answer your questions and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, the time for public comment on this item is now closed. Chief City Clerk, please read any comments received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 3 comments this evening. The first letter is from Sandy Roscoe, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, and it reads as follows. Dear Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, and Council Members Ding, Harrington, and Pooh, I am writing to ask the city to please extend the current contract with Athens Services an additional 14 years. It is my understanding that in doing so, Athens will provide the city of San Gabriel with a $350,000 annual payment that gets adjusted up each year by CPI and will last as long as the city does not end the renewable term. Our city certainly will benefit from this added revenue stream. Not only does Athens provide exceptional service to our city, but they are such strong and engaged supporters of our city's events and our many nonprofit organizations. I cannot imagine having any other trash hauler other than Athens. It is clear they care deeply for San Gabriel. The next comment is from Terry Huerta and reads as follows. My name is Terry Huerta, and I am a resident of San Gabriel at 224 West Wedgwood Avenue, as well as an employee of Mission San Gabriel located in the city of San Gabriel. This email is to communicate support of Athens services and to share my own experiences personally and professionally. In the 20+ years that I have lived in San Gabriel, Athens has provided my household with exceptional service, and they have always been prompt and fair in their response to any questions or issues I have had. Professionally, I have sat on nonprofit boards alongside their representatives who care deeply about our city. As an employee of Mission San Gabriel, I have had witnessed firsthand the care and support that they have shown us during their time here in San Gabriel. During our fiesta, Athens has been a provider of recycled trash cans, trash bins, sponsorship, and an abundance of support over the Labor Day weekend. Additionally, they have provided Mission San Gabriel with roll-off bins at no charge during the many times that we are beautifying our campus. In short, they are truly invested in our city, and I hope the council will reinstate its agreement with them. Thank you for your time and consideration. And the last comment this evening is from Alexis Salamanca, President of the Board of Directors of the San Gabriel Chamber of Commerce, and reads as follows. Dear Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, and Council Members Ding, Harrington, and Pu, I am writing to ask the city to please extend the current contract with Athens Services an additional 14 years. Athens' exceptional services goes along not just collecting and recycling the trash in the city of San Gabriel, but empowering our community by supporting many nonprofit organizations and community programs as well. Their quality environmental services are innovative, consistent, and leave a legacy for further generations to follow. Zero waste. It is my understanding that Athens will provide the city of San Gabriel with a $350,000 annual payment that gets adjusted up each year by the CPI and will last as long as the city does not end the renewable term. Our city needs partnerships like Athens Services to work with diligence and determination to make the city of San Gabriel not just a city with a mission, but a city with a legacy for the generations to come. Athens Services is an extraordinary waste collection and recycling company. It is clear they really care for our community. Thank you. Madam Mayor, that concludes the comments.
Thank you so much. So I will now ask my fellow ad hoc committee member, Councilmember Harrington, if he would like to say any further words. For myself, I know this is a continuation of the meeting we held previously, as the staff report stated. We've been working on this for about a year. I welcome Christian Warner. Thank you for being here. And I stand by the recommendation that's being made tonight. I would like to continue with Athens. I think our city will benefit. And we've spent a lot of time looking at the details. And I would like to table my time for the remaining council members who haven't had the joy of working for the past year with Mark and Greg. I want to thank them also for all the volumes of information that they were able to provide. So let me pass it on to my colleague, Councilmember Harrington, to see if he had any other comments, or perhaps you have further questions, Councilmember Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your comments. I agree with them wholeheartedly. It's quite an effort by the team, by everyone involved. I really appreciate, there's a lot of thought put into this. We ran through many scenarios. I think the city will benefit well, the residents, the businesses, everything. This is one of those times where it truly is win-win. And those are not always easy to do with cities and vendors, but I think we've done a good job here on both sides. There's been a lot of give and take both ways. And like the mayor said, we're intimately involved with a lot of this, so we've probably been presented with too much information. After a while, it blends in. But I think this contract amendment represents, I think, as clearly and as definitively as you can capture the changes. I really appreciate everyone involved in drafting it. I think it was a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harrington. Yeah, we agree. Councilmember Harrington and I agree wholeheartedly. So that's a big win. So I will now turn it to the remaining colleagues. And let me start with Councilmember Ding. I'll give Vice Mayor a chance to, he doesn't always have to be first. Councilmember Ding, did you have all your questions answered from the previous meeting? Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, I think for the plans, not too many questions, but it just seems like hopefully, because I think that if it is anything give to us the contribution is 350,000. For my perspective, it's this because the truck it's also our street. It's because our street have a lot of paving problem. That's for our rest of city council. I hope we can use the majority fund, the 350,000 for our annual fund for our public work to help the street and paving. Yeah, it's thanks if we get this kind of the contract, the Anson can help us, that's for our paving. And another thing is I read on page 3, for the commercial rate adjustment, like it's a total of 14%, and the rest of the year it's 7%. Because I think our consideration is for the pandemic. Is it possible like postpone it, or like maybe not just 2 years, maybe spread out 3 or 4, 5 years? It's not a big amount to increase for our business person. That's I saw the consideration. So because right now it's a really tough time. So yeah, and yeah, I agree to like add on another 14 years. So we got like 350,000, and plus have the CPI and help our city. Like my purpose is help city for the get a paving and fix the street. Yeah, that's the most. I think hopefully the majority is for this kind of use. Okay, that's my comment. Thanks, Mayor.
I'd like to address the second question a little bit, and Christian can add to it if you like. But as far as phasing in, we certainly understand the hardships of the pandemic, but it already is phased in. Athens agreed to split this over 2 years, and it certainly, in theory, it could have been 3 or 4 years. But the real problem is the state laws have not been delayed; they're actually kicking in. So these are real costs to Athens in their ongoing operations. Okay. Phasing them in, it might be a bit helpful for the pandemic, but it's also harmful to Athens. So Athens has agreed to phase it in over 2 years rather than going for one upfront bigger jump. But that's kind of where we ended up. And I don't know if you want to add to that, Christian?
No, I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me, first of all? Oh, okay. You know what? Actually, I will add one thing, Councilmember Ding, that related to the pandemic, I do want you to know that aside from rate adjustments, we are actually doing everything that we can to work with commercial businesses if they are having hardships due to COVID-19, as well as residents, where we are working with them, if they need help with their payments, or if they need to minimize or decrease their service level, or even if they need to put their trash services on hold for a short time, or go down to the minimum services, so that they can pay less. We are doing everything that we can to work with them. We are taking time in many of our cities to not charge, for example, late fees, during this time, if people happen to pay late, so we are doing everything that we can to work with the commercial businesses.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Yeah, this kind of like, if we like assistance program, can you like pass to our city staff? We can help business community developer like Harmony, they can, if just in case the business asking this kind of question, maybe can help them if like they call you. How is it also if they call you, did you have like a multi-language to help them? Because I know that a lot of
Yes.
people. Okay, good, great. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a customer service department that has the ability to speak multiple languages with different customers in all of our cities. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think that your assistant program maybe also help if you have the like this kind of assistant program, just pass by. Even give it to me. I have the reference where they can go for it to find it. Then they can call you. They got an assistant. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Councilmember Pu.
Yes, I'd like to thank the ad hoc subcommittee and Athens for their work on these renegotiations. I will support the recommended action. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor Lau.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I've been talking to Athens for the past 5 years. And, I keep asking them, hey, let's have a, long-term relationship. And 14 years, it's just about right. Because the other cities, they also did that. But I did ask for a lump sum fee, if you times 350 by 14 years, that's $4.9 million. Okay, $4.9 million. And I keep asking them, oh, let's fix the street, especially Las Tunas, right? From St. Gabriel all the way to Alhambra. And yeah, I guess before Christian, there are two other Athens representatives. They liked that idea, but it was just the city council never really followed through. But again, the trash company have been paying, it's called the road impact fees to other cities like city of Los Angeles and other cities, because the heavy truck really, it deteriorate the road conditions. So it's the right reason to ask them to pay the city, especially for the main arterial. So I like the idea, but however, if the majority of the city council, they don't want a lump sum fee, just $350,000 per year, I would agree, but I would put that money fixing our streets. We need about at least 60 million to complete our job. So we definitely need more funding. But I have a question for Christian. The Victorville, the American Organic plan is working very well, but since last year, yeah, the trash company required to haul away any business that has 4 cubic yard of food waste, but sounds like Athens is not doing that. So I don't know if Cal Recycle has say anything to Athens at all regarding the complying.
Yeah. So we have probably been meeting with Cal Recycle and with the staff, with the Public Works staff specifically, for the last number of years, because we meet a few times a year as that group, just to go over everything related to trash, and organics and compliance with these laws is always an important topic. And so specifically, probably over the last year and a half or so, whenever it came time to talking about organics, the message was always letting Cal Recycle know that we had, at the same time, been working with the subcommittee and with Public Works, talking about options that the council would choose to comply with those laws. And so Cal Recycle knows that we are working on this. We've kept them up to date that this is an important time right now. This is an important decision that the council is making, because tonight in this Fifth Amendment is a very robust, all-inclusive organics program that we will now be instituting in the city of San Gabriel for the rest of the contract term. And it will comply with AB 1826, as well as the 1383, which even takes AB 1826 to the next degree. So this is going to handle your city's needs for the rest of the contract term.
Okay.
And Cal Recycle Cal Recycle has seen us institute this program in another city, and they're very pleased with it. And they're actually pleased with the fact that San Gabriel has been considering the same program.
Okay, well, as long as your company can indemnify the city, and I think we're okay. We don't want to have any problem with the Cal Recycle. Another question is the organic container unit pricing. Let me see, this last item. It says consistent with SB 1383. Starting January 1st, 2022, with a 75% subsidy. Well, what does it mean, 75% subsidy?
So what that means is in January 1st of 2022, that's when SB 1383 is going to kick in, and everybody in the city is going to have to separate organics. And so what we are doing there is saying, that's going to take a few years, we believe, for all of the commercial multifamily businesses in any city to really get used to and comply. So in that first year, what we're doing is we will be providing a 75% subsidy to the organic container rates, which means the commercial businesses in San Gabriel will only be paying 25% of what the normal rate would be. Then in the next calendar year, we'll be providing a 50% subsidy. Then in the third calendar year, a 25% subsidy. So it's not until 4 years, not until 2025, would a commercial or multifamily account be paying the full market rate, if you will, for that separate organics container. So that's just another thing that at Athens that we're trying to do to help phase in the rates to help the customers, get used to the program.
But do you know the rate now, or you don't?
Yeah, the rates are actually, there's a rate sheet that's attached to Amendment number 5, and it has the organic bin rates on there. So those will be attached to every rate sheet for every year, but those won't kick in for a few years. Yeah.
Okay. I have talked to you about how to improve the compost. As a matter of fact, right now we just use the green waste. Green waste doesn't make a real good compost. Okay, you gotta have food waste, animal fats and all that kind of stuff, and keep worms in the compost, and that's how make the fertile compost. So that I think maybe in the future, start collecting the organic waste. Maybe Athens can produce better compost, and I don't know, supposed level with San Gabriel compost. By law, those composts belong to the city of San Gabriel. So we could work with Athens. We can sell them and promote them, and we can create a revenue, for both Athens and the city of San Gabriel. But anyway, I like the idea, so I want to move forward with the 14 years of, annual additional contract.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'll make the motion. sounds like we have an agreement here, so I'll make the formal motion, which is the recommended action. Staff recommends that the city council approve the Fifth Amendment to the amended and restated agreement, the new rate adjustment, and the 14-year increase to our current 11-year contract. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I heard Councilmember Harrington.
Okay.
Give us that joy. We worked hard for that. Okay, City Clerk Bonus, can you please take the vote?
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Great. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Christian, for being here till very late. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Let's continue on with our meeting. Next item.
Public comment. Madam Mayor, we have no additional public comment for this meeting.
Great. Next item, City Manager's Report. Mark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I just have a very quick comment for tonight. Just want to remind everybody who's listening that the last time that the County of Los Angeles and really the country had an issue with the spike in coronavirus cases was after the Memorial Day holiday and the 4th of July holiday and some of the protests. And with Labor Day coming up and it being so hot, I just want to implore everybody who's listening that they should stay home or stay with their family groups, means people that they live with. If you want to go to the park or go to the beach, don't mingle with other folks. Don't go to other people's backyards and try and have socially distant parties, because that's not really within the spirit of what we're trying to do, as we all talked about COVID throughout tonight. And so if we all continue to do the hard work and stay safe and stay the course, we can continue to keep the numbers low, and we will be opening up sooner rather than later. But if we forget that and we have a little bit of short-term fun this weekend, we're all going to be paying for it for several weeks to months ahead. So please, everybody stay safe, stay home, and stay distant.
Thank you, Mark. Council comments and conference meeting reports. I'm just going to need to see either hands or if you can turn on your mic. Does anyone have any comments before I turn it to Vice Mayor? Okay, Vice Mayor Lau.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So last Saturday, I joined U.S. Census. We had a caravan and several elected officials, the county supervisor, congressman, and state assembly member. We start from Koreatown and then Koreatown to Thai Town, and then through Chinatown. So it was a great event. It was like, caravan parade, and attract a lot of attentions. People, I think most people know the census, and it's going to be in by September 30th. So it's the last push for this event. And right now, as a matter of fact, St. Gabriel is about 71% response rate. So which is not bad. Some other cities even higher, but in LA, they're in their low 50s, and 60s. So that's the reason we joined them. We want to help them, because LA is it need to work a little bit harder, because only a month away for this 2020 census. But it was meaningful, because it only happened once in 10 years. So I'm so happy to join them. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Pu.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to report that the ad hoc subcommittee for the HERE Commission is continuing its work, and we will continue to have some outreach meetings with staff as well as the interfaith group, and hopefully soon the business community and also community advocates. In connection with that too, the work of the San Gabriel Valley Regional Housing Trust has begun, and all members of the council, myself and Vice Mayor Liao included, are participating now in developing the sort of sub-regional, meaning a San Gabriel Valley sub-regional homelessness plan. And that will certainly be a benefit to us in the city of San Gabriel, and allow us access to Measure H funds in the future. And lastly, with respect to the COG, as Vice Chair of the Transportation Committee, something that will impact us directly here in the West San Gabriel Valley is the city of Alhambra is preparing to bring forward its plans for what to do with the 710 funds. And they do include some significant changes to the interchanges and overpasses of the 10 freeway just west of us. So that's Garfield, Atlantic, and Fremont. And so I've asked for staff to bring those, right now they're just initial drawings and so forth, but to bring them to the attention of the full council, and hopefully the city of Alhambra's consultant will also be able to do a full presentation to us, again, remotely via Zoom, but so that, we here in the city, our council members and our community can be apprised of what some of those plans are, how it might impact us, and how we can continue to be involved in that process, even as we consider, final implementation of how we will use our allocation of those 710 funds. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ding, I think I saw your hand up.
Just for the councilman comment, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So it's thanks to all the staff hardworking that bring this agenda that discuss, and also I echo the vice mayor. So we continue do the encourage our community do the census. It's actually this help our community, help us gather more the accurate the fund from the federal and the state. If city manager Mark say the next week, this Labor Days, stay home. If stay home, but you can use the go to the online, fill out the census. That's a part of the long kid job. So wish everybody stay home and a happy the long weekend with the Labor Day. Thanks.
Just a reminder to everyone, the census doesn't take all weekend. It takes 10 minutes. It's 10 questions.
Yeah.
But just a reminder to everyone.
Yeah.
Let's see, anyone else? Okay, so then I'll move on to the next item. Closed session, there is none. And before I adjourn, I also wanted to close just to remind everyone that, in advance of this Labor Day weekend, we still need to take safety precautions. We're at 580 cases, 48 deaths. I know everyone wants, has the cabin fever, wants to celebrate, but, there is still significant risk of COVID. The spread is still taking place, but we can minimize it. And unfortunately, every single long holiday, there's been a surge. So I too just want to echo the sentiments, stay safe, stay healthy, San Gabriel. And with that, I adjourn. Good night, everyone.